Friends, hello. I suggest we talk about some serious things today. For example, about writers and literature. So, there are these so-called classics, right? That's when at least 3 generations of readers have hit each other over the head with his works, right? Yeah, back in the day, well, everything's changed now. Back then, there were sharks of the pen, right? And now, who are they? Keyboard woodpeckers. Honestly, Russian classical literature, well, usually, not much actually happens in it. It usually means someone chopped up an old lady with an axe, right? Or a guy gets his head cut off by a streetcar, a dog gets drowned, or someone throws themselves under a train. Basically, everything is clearly defined with us, right? And what's the main message? Basically, someone has to suffer, either the main character, or the writer himself, or the readers. Only then does it all make sense. That's it. If you look at foreign literature, they're not far behind either. Take William Shakespeare, for example. What are his works about? Everyone dies. Picture this: Sweden, Stockholm. That's it. And so, one of the journalists gets an assignment to find out what's going on at the Russian Writers Club. She comes there on a Saturday, and there's a secretary sitting at the desk. She says, I want to do a report on the lives of Russian writers in Stockholm. The secretary replies, today is Saturday. All the Russian writers are at the synagogue. Oh, well, that's the story. In reality, of course, writers used to live simply. The attitude, let's say, from their wives was also very straightforward. Elizabeth Hadley, the first wife of Ernest Hemingway, once took his manuscripts to his editor by train and got off for a few minutes to buy something to read for herself. Just like that. She comes back to the compartment, and the suitcase is gone. Oh, in short, even 30 years later, Hemingway spoke very harshly about this. He said, "How could you? You found something to read. Read my works." Anyway, moving on. Once, Mayakovsky was walking down Tverskaya with 2 girls. Yeah, so, once he looks and sees some drunk guy lying in a puddle. And the girls are like, "Well, you always have something to say. Tell us, what do you see?" So Mayakovsky, all dramatic, says, "On our path of life lies a lifeless body." The drunk lifts his head and says, "What's it to you? You could have walked around me." Mayakovsky, let's move on. That's Yesenin. So, at a writer's convention, this older writer shows up with a very young wife. And his friend whispers to him, "Yeah, those little diamonds in her ears, that's a whole poem." He turns to him and says, "That's 5 poems. 3 works." And most importantly, in today's world, you just can't lose your cool. So, an unknown young writer, Sergei Kovregin, wrote a novel and printed 100,000 copies. Yeah. He goes to the store, looks around, all 100,000 copies are still there, not a single one sold. Without thinking twice, he puts an ad in the newspaper: young, attractive millionaire looking for a girl who resembles the main heroine of Sergei Kovregin's novel. Guess what? In 2 days, all 100,000 copies were sold out. See, the main thing is not to lose your nerve. And of course, everything changes. Now, artificial intelligence will soon make it possible for new works by Pushkin to appear.